Hello, church. My name is James Fontenette with the South Ministry of the DFW Church. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share with you how some of the recent killings involving black men have impacted me, particularly because I see these events through three separate lenses: as a black man, as a police officer, and as a disciple of Jesus. As a black man, I can remember my dad regularly cautioning me and my two younger brothers, as black men, to always be aware of where we were at all times once we left the house because of the color of our skin. He'd also caution us to not be involved in wrongdoing or be involved with those who are involved in wrongdoing. And if we were ever stopped by the police, always never talk back and always do what the police officers told us to do. After viewing some of the video footage of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, I was stunned. I was consumed with a feeling of helplessness. It caused me to remember the events I had heard about as a child and teen from my dad and my uncles about black men being hunted down at random by mobs and lynched. I remember hearing the hurt in their voices as they told us. I remember seeing the disgust in their faces. The Arbery video footage did not seem real to me. To see what appeared to me to be a similar type of event happening in this day and age. As a police officer, I worked in law enforcement in the Los Angeles, California area for about 31 years. I didn't see everything, but I saw a lot. After 31 years in law enforcement, I can say with confidence, the great majority of police officers do what's right and do what should be done. It's the very small minority that do wrong. But because there is such a high expectation of integrity for police officers, it only takes a small minority who do wrong to demolish the relationships between police officers and civilians. After viewing some of the video footage of the killing of George Floyd, I was disturbed emotionally to the point of hurting physically. What struck me the most was seeing the actions of Derek Chauvin. While kneeling on the neck of George Floyd, he looked directly at bystanders who were pleading with him to release his knee from George's neck. Chauvin looked at the bystanders and said, in my opinion, looked at the bystanders and to say, I can do whatever I want to do regardless of what you say. Chauvin, in my opinion, showed no regard for George's condition and seemed to deliberately continue to press his knee unnecessarily on George's neck, even after George lost consciousness. Despite assisting officers questioning Chauvin about George's condition, Chauvin still showed no regard for George's condition. After paramedics arrived, it was appalling to see how Chauvin continued his abusive and demeaning treatment of George by recklessly dragging George's lifeless body, still in handcuffs, on the ground onto a gurney. As a disciple, I've been a disciple for 23 years, still it was alarming to see the power Satan wields over people. Satan convinced Gregory and Travis McMichael to chase down and kill Ahmaud Arbery. Satan also convinced Derek Chauvin, in my opinion, that he was God and could at will take the life of George Floyd. As a disciple, I must seek understanding first through God and His Word, remembering this is a spiritual battle. I cannot fight this battle by worldly means. The initial horror of seeing this video of George Floyd was very difficult to watch. Proverbs 25, 7b through 8 says, "What you have seen with your eyes, do not bring hastily to court, for what will you do in the end if your neighbor puts you to shame?" I believe the scripture does not stop us from feeling what we feel based on what we have seen, but reminds us to be cautious as the events like this unfold so we can have the most complete view as possible. After watching the recent devotional by Michael Burns, I need to remember Jesus cared about justice, the true justice that is God's kingdom. Jesus stood up for the oppressed and offered justice to all as the sacrificed lamb. My hope and belief are that through dialogue with one another, especially those in power, and through more knowledge of one another, change will happen. It can and it must. Thank you for allowing me to share.